Hello guys, welcome back to another video. If you haven't already worked it out, we are going to be tackling the front subframe from the R56 Mini Cooper S today. So the front subframe on these, they do like to suffer quite a bit from rust. Now my particular one isn't too bad. It's only really on these uprights here on either side. They are pretty crusty. I'm pretty sure it's just surface rust though, but we will see. So essentially when it comes to refurbishing this, what I'm going to do is take it back to the bare metal, and then I will treat it for any remaining rust, and then I'll give it a coat of paint, probably 2 coats of paint, and then we have some bushes and things to install. So we have some polyurethane bushes. These are from Powerflex. I've used them a couple of times in the past, and yeah, they've worked quite well. So yeah, that's going to be a case of building that all up. Also have a few other bits as well. So these are the hubs or knuckles, I guess you'd call them. They have already actually been shot blasted, along with these end of chassis legs. This is where the front subframe bolts onto the slam panel and radiator pack. So yeah, these have actually already been shot blasted. My dad actually done these at work, which is good. No messing around with those. But obviously the main subframe, that is too large to go in a shot blasting cabinet. So yeah, going to have to do it by hand with an angle grinder and wire brushes and things like that. So now, of course, as always, I do want to try and go into as much detail as possible when it comes to refurbishing this front subframe, but I think if I was to do it all in one video, it'd just be way too long. So I think what I'm going to do is, you know, break it up into various parts, because it is going to take me a good few days, you know, to complete it and get everything back together. So yeah, this is going to be part one. I at least want to get the front subframe down to bare metal, and then give it a coat of some primer, and then yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Okay then, so of course, because these parts have already, you know, been taken down to the bare metal, these just need cleaning up. They have been coated with some WD-40 just to stop them from rusting, so they just need a clean down, and then obviously they can be primered and then painted. But we're going to put all this to one side and get cracking with the main subframe itself, and then obviously once we get to a certain stage with that, then we can give all this you know, a couple of coats of paint. But yeah, let's get cracking. I'll probably start with the angle grinder. So then when it comes to removing paint, rust, powder coat, whatever you are trying to remove from a subframe, of course you don't want to cut into the metal itself. So if you do have an angle grinder, get some of these flapper discs. They just literally work as sandpaper and just take the top layer off. I just have 120 grit on here. I do have like some 80 grit, 60 grit and 40 grit, but I think that's going to be a bit overkill. I think the 120 grit should be more than enough. But yeah, let's just get cracking, and let's try and get this thing down to the bare metal. Oh, of course, safety goggles is always advised. So pretty much there or thereabouts. I've gone as far as I want to go with the angle grinder. Did just do a little bit with the wire brush attachment on the drill as well, just to get in the you know, tighter spots. Now there is a little bit inside of this bracket here. I'm just going to tap that with the Dremel tool. Okay, so here is how we are currently looking. I'm pretty confident that we have the majority of the flaky paint and surface rust now removed. A lot of this orange is just dust that should remove when we attack it with some brake cleaner. Now there is going to be some fine surface rust still left on here. That's absolutely fine. We are going to apply some rust converter next, you know, especially in these tight areas here. Like I said, none of it's structural, it's all purely just surface rust, so the rust converter should take care of that. And then once we've done that, we can start applying it with some primer, and then finally, to make it look pretty, some paint. So we've got to get this thing spotless with the brake cleaner. Okay, so I've just gave the subframe a couple of minutes to dry. It's looking good now, ready to receive the rust converter. So all I'm gonna do is pour some of this into a pot. Give it a good shake first. And this stuff, believe it or not, does actually go quite a long way. So I think half of this small pot here should probably do the entire subframe. Now it's just a case of applying it with a brush. Now we don't need to be too careful with this stuff because, yeah, it doesn't really matter if we, you know, cover the entire lot, but yeah, get plenty on, really work it into the affected areas, and make sure to give it a good coating as well. We'll see what it looks like after one coat. May need another, but we'll see. So yeah, let's just crack on and get the entire subframe coated. Well, the rusted affected areas, should we say. You'll probably notice that the rusted areas is where the welds are, like the flat surfaces are all relatively rust free, so that's something to bear in mind. And what you'll notice is this will start to change colour once it makes contact with the rust. It starts to turn blue and it eventually goes black. But yeah, there's no need for you to watch me cover the entire thing, so I'm just going to crack on and we'll check in when we're done. Okay, so that is one side of the subframe completely covered. Obviously got to flip it over and do the other side, but got to wait for this side to dry first. And while I wait for that, I thought I may as well get started on these pieces. So of course they are covered in WD-40, so I've got to clean it off with some brake cleaner, and we can start applying some primer to these then. And now, while we let them dry, we go have lunch. Okay, so I'm now back from lunch and I have also applied a second coat of primer to these, which has already dried. I think 2 coats should be enough. Everything looks like it's covered well. Now it's time to apply the top coat, which I'm using this satin black. I think it should look quite nice. And in the meantime, the top or the bottom of this subframe is dried, so I can flip it over and then do the other side. Okay then, let's crack on and get this side done just the same. Okay then, so after coating the other side of the subframe, this is how we're looking. All of the rust is now completely gone. This really doesn't take too long to dry at all, but we're looking good so far. Also applied a second coat of the satin black to these as well. I think maybe one more coat should do it. I mean, they are, you know, pretty much completely coated anyway, but I think just another coat, a light coat, we'll be done at that then. Okay then, so the subframe has dried on both sides. It's now time to start applying the primer. Okay, so first light dusting of primer on the subframe itself, and yeah, I think we're probably going to need to buy some more paint. I mean, I think that was like the best part of a half of a can, and that was quite literally just a light dusting. You know, that hasn't even covered the subframe yet. I only have, I think, 2 cans left. I think 2 cans of primer and then 2 cans of black, but we'll see. I think it's going to need 2 or 3 coats of primer and probably the same in the black, but we'll see how we get on anyway. Okay then, a little update with the front subframe. So all of the extra little bits, they are all now done. And how good are these all now looking? Like brand new. Can't wait to get the Powerflex poly brushes in these. But yeah, they have all had, I think, 2 to 3 coats of primer. And then the same again with the black, 2 to 3 coats. But the subframe itself, this is how we're looking. As you can see, it's been flipped over now. So this side has had, I believe, 2 coats of primer. And to be honest, it has actually covered quite well. I think we're pretty much there now. So what I'll do is I'll flip it over. The other side needs 1 more coat. And then we'll see how we're looking. But I think we're actually going to be all right. We still have another full can of primer, and then we have, I think, like 1.5 cans of the satin black and like a tiny bit of this gloss black. I'll probably apply this gloss black first and then just go over it with the satin black. You know, you're never going to see it. It's just to protect it and whatever else. But yeah, it's just going to mean that the black's going to go a little bit further. Okay then, so the front subframe has had 2 coats of primer, you know, on either side, and I'm pretty pleased with how it has covered. So now I'm going to start attacking it with the black. Like I said, I'm going to use this gloss black first because I do want to apply 3 coats of black in total. The first with this gloss black is just going to be a light dusting, and then obviously we'll finish with the satin black to get the finish that we want. Okay, that'll do it for the first coat on that side. Wait for that to dry, we'll flip it over and do the exact same on the other side. So after 1 coat of black, this is how we're looking. Pretty good. I think 3 should definitely be enough for this. So then after a second coat of black on both sides, this is how we are now looking. The whole thing is completely covered now. I am going to apply 1 more coat though, just to give it that little bit of extra protection. And we actually still have, I mean this can's empty, but we actually still have a whole nother can left. So yeah, it does actually cover quite well on here, to be honest. But yeah, so far so good. We're getting there. So 1 more coat on either side, then we're done with that. Okay then, so after the third and final coat of black on the front subframe, this is now complete. And how sweet is this now looking? This has honestly turned out even better than I could have imagined. You know, just take it back to yesterday when it was very rusty and crusty. And yeah, this is probably pretty similar to how it left the factory. You know, it's going to be probably better protected actually. The fact that we have the rust converter on there, which kind of acts as a primer anyway, but then we also have 2 coats of primer, but then 3 coats of black. This should not be rusting again anytime soon. And of course we have all of the other bits as well. So the steering knuckles, whatever you want to call them, you know, that hold the hubs. We have the hub or wheel bearing themselves. Didn't actually show you me painting these, but essentially I just taped up the back here. Obviously you don't want to paint that, as where the ABS sensor needs to make contact with. But yeah, these have came up again virtually like brand new. And then we have the rear bush carriers. Like I said, I have some Powerflex poly bushes to go into these. And of course these subframe chassis leg extenders. I really don't know what they're called, but yeah, again, these have came up quite nice because these were very, very rusty when I took them off the car. But yeah, looking good now. Okay then guys, so there we go. I think I'm going to end this one here. Like I said, I'm going to have the entire subframe refurbishment over 2 or maybe 3 videos. In the next part, we are going to be, installing all of the new bushes. We have new track rod ends, obviously the power steering rack itself. What else? We have new wishbones, new drop links, loads of other bits to go back on this subframe, and then obviously we will remount it back onto the car, which I'm looking forward to because yeah, this subframe is looking in tip-top shape right now. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one anyway. Of course, stick around for the next part. Give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.